I didn't throw the ring in her face, at least, not immediately. That would have been impulsive. No, I let the anger simmer, slow cooking in my chest until it became something far stronger, resolve. It started with the messages. Small things at first. Too many emojis from a colleague named Derek. Late-night chats, always labeled work emergencies. A growing distance between us that felt thicker than the concrete walls of our home. I ignored it. Trusted her. 7 years of marriage meant something, didn't it? 7 years of inside jokes no one else would understand, of Sunday morning pancakes and evening walks with the dog. 7 years of whispered secrets in the dark and shared dreams over cups of coffee. What kind of fool would throw all that away over a few text messages? Turns out, the kind of fool who had to watch his wife pack lingerie for a business trip. She didn't see me standing in the doorway as she zipped up her suitcase, neatly folding delicate black lace, pieces she hadn't worn in months. Not for me, anyway. My heart sank. My throat tightened. A part of me wanted to speak, to demand an explanation, but something held me back. Maybe I wasn't ready to hear the lies. Maybe I needed more proof. Or maybe, deep down, I wanted revenge. That morning, she kissed me on the cheek before leaving, her lips grazing my skin like an afterthought. Like I was nothing more than a loyal dog waiting at the door. "I'll be back in 3 days, sweetheart," she said, voice coated in honey so thick it made my stomach turn. I stood there, watching her car disappear down the road, the taste of betrayal bitter on my tongue. The moment she was out of sight, I moved. Step 1. Verify the cheating. I wasn't about to burn my life down over suspicions. I needed undeniable proof. So, I went to her laptop, where she had carelessly saved her email password in the browser, and opened her inbox. My heart pounded like a war drum. There it was. A hotel confirmation. Booked for 2. Room service for 2. An email from Derek, looking forward to this weekend, babe. My grip tightened on the mouse, fingers trembling with rage. My stomach twisted into knots, bile rising in my throat. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I smiled. Not a happy smile. No, this was something darker. The expression of a man who knew the game wasn't over. Not yet. Step 2. Preparation. I called in sick to work. Spent the next 2 days making phone calls, drafting emails, putting together a plan so airtight it could suffocate a whale. This wasn't just about catching her red-handed, it was about reclaiming my dignity. She wasn't going to waltz back into my life with a fake apology and a bottle of cheap wine. By the time she returned, I was ready. She walked through the door, suitcase in hand, smelling like hotel shampoo and deceit. She smiled. A sweet, careful smile, the kind that says, "I'm a little guilty, but you'll never catch me." "Hey, sweetheart," she said, leaning in for a kiss. I stepped back, holding up a hand. "We need to talk." Her face froze, but only for a second. She was good at covering her tracks, or so she thought. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice carefully neutral. I didn't answer. Instead, I lifted her phone, the one I had retrieved from her nightstand before she got home. The screen was unlocked, displaying an email from Derek. A single, damning piece of evidence glowing in the dim light of our living room. I watched the color drain from her face. Her lips parted, but no sound came out, like a fish gasping for air. "You want to explain this?" My voice was cold, measured. It's not what it looks like," she stammered. "Oh, it's not." I raised an eyebrow. "So you weren't at the Grand Mariner Hotel with Derek?" Silence. Heavy. Inescapable. That was all I needed. Without another word, I reached for my ring and slid it off my finger. It felt strangely light, as if it had never truly belonged there. I didn't throw it at her, that would have been too easy. Instead, I tossed it to the floor, where it bounced once before rolling to a stop at her feet. A final punctuation mark. The end of us. Get out. My voice was steady, but inside, I was a storm. She begged. She cried. She clawed for every excuse, every manipulation she could grasp, from blaming me, "You've been so distant lately," to outright denial. But I didn't waver. I had the receipts. Literally. And I wasn't about to let her gaslight me into believing I was the villain in my own story. When she finally left, suitcase clutched in shaking hands, sobbing as she stumbled out the door, I felt something unexpected. Relief. But I wasn't done. Not yet. Her betrayal wasn't going to be a quiet, hidden wound that I nursed in the dark. No, I was going to expose it for exactly what it was. First, I sent an anonymous email to Derek's wife. Yes, he had a wife. She deserved to know the kind of man she had married. Attached were hotel receipts, screenshots of their messages, and even a photo of them together that I had pulled from my wife's phone. Next, I made sure the news reached her parents. They had always thought she was perfect, their golden child who could do no wrong. Well, let's see how perfect she seemed after they found out she had thrown away her marriage for some loser in accounting. But the pièce de résistance. That was the video. Weeks ago, I had installed security cameras in the house, not to spy on her, or at least that's what I told myself. Turns out, they had captured far more than just the dog barking at the mailman. Carefully, I compiled the footage. Clips of her sneaking off to the bathroom to text him, packing lingerie into her suitcase with a secretive little smile, even whispering I love you to him over the phone, while I lay asleep just a few feet away. I didn't post it to Facebook where mutual friends could see. No, I shared it in a private forum dedicated to exposing cheaters. It spread like wildfire. Within hours, thousands of people had seen it, commented, raged on my behalf. Some even reached out, offering words of support, reminding me that I wasn't alone. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than anger. Vindication. By the time the dust settled, she had lost everything. Her reputation, her job. Derek's wife worked in HR and wasn't exactly thrilled about the affair, and most importantly, me. I wasn't just a man scorned. I was a man reborn. And as for me, I didn't just move on. I thrived. I sold the house, quit my job, took a one-way flight to Europe, where I spent my days sipping wine in sun-drenched cafes, wandering cobblestone streets with no destination in mind. And then, one evening, standing by the edge of a foreign shore, watching the sun melt into the sea, I felt it. Peace. A real, honest smile tugged at my lips, one not born of spite, or anger, or revenge. This time, it was real.